Welcome to Only Assholes in the Building, America's favorite true crime podcast. Actually, no, it's just the Tip-Sters, but there are many assholes in the building.
Oh, man.
Just two of us. There's just two of us.
But it's as if there are so many more.
I know we do comprise a bunch of assholes. Just the two of us. We're from the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California. This is a Headache Soul production. Welcome to Just the Tip-Sters, America's favorite true crime podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Morgan. My beautiful and talented co-host today is Joshua Bevan.
Hi.
Hi, Joshua.
Thank you for having me.
I always have you.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds bad. We should start with that. You have a new cougar. Her name is Debbie.
Oh, excellent.
She emailed me specifically and said, I guess I'm a new cougar too. So Cougar Nation unite around the love of the Joshua.
I appreciate this.
Debbie is married and lives in North Carolina, so you can't have her.
Oh, well, that was a roller coaster of emotions.
I love to bring you up and then smash you to the ground. Yeah. But you got a new cougar in Cougar Nation.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
hi, Debbie.
Yeah. Hi, Debbie. Debbie is actually a stellar gem of a human being. And she is the person who sent me today's case we're going to talk about.
Oh, right on.
Which is, it's so interesting that she is also part of your cougar crowd. So I'm going to start spelling it with a K. Cougar with a K, crowd with a K. Oh,
we got to be careful to make sure not to add other K words to that.
Yeah. We don't want three. No, three. No. That's like AAA and the organization that helps you stop drinking.
Right.
Yeah. Make sure you call the right one if your car breaks down. Don't call your sponsor. Hi, my tire's flat. Can you please want to go through the 12 steps or?
How many steps does it take?
Does it take to change this tire? Exactly. So I wanted to say a special thank you to Macau and the UAE.
Oh, we're big in the UAE now too?
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, it's happened a few times in the UAE. This is the first time with Macau. It's been two weeks since we started on the charts in Macau. So
nice.
Yeah.
It is the Las Vegas of the Far East.
You're right. It is. You looked it up.
No, that's something everyone knows.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. Just me. I didn't know about Macau. I didn't even know how to pronounce it correctly. I was like, why am I on the charts in Macau? But
I really don't know why I know that, but yeah, it is.
It is. You're right. I looked it up.
Okay.
I was like, wow, he's really good. You know everything.
Well, and the UAE is
Dubai is the Las Vegas of the desert,
Middle East.
Yeah. So basically we're hot in desert
in places where you're not allowed to have fun, but except for the one city that you're allowed to have fun.
Right. Where you can go and waste all your money and see half naked people.
Perfect.
Pretty much like Sherman Oaks.
That's
No, did I get that wrong again? Sorry. Yeah.
Sherman Oaks is the capital of something else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is. So I haven't taken you to the garage because I'm frightened you'll never come back. But I used to play a game with Mark called Blood Spatter or Enchilada Sauce. Oh my God. Because he would, he was, first of all, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring. So he was the cook. I really barely went into the kitchen to get more Mountain Dew Kickstart. And he was also a real sloppy cook. And I remember looking up at the ceiling like, what happened here?
Oh, boy.
What was it? Cast off from a knife?
Oh,
no, it's from a spatula. It's the Enchilada King. That was his nickname by some friends of ours. It was cast off from the Enchilada King. So I'm playing a new game in the garage called Multiple Homicide or Mountain Dew Kickstart Exploded when Melissa opened the refrigerator in the garage.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then I laughed really hard. It was frozen.
You put the
no,
Kickstarter
I did not.
In the freezer?
I did not. It was in the here. This is the weird part, Joshua. This is like a mystery. Maybe some people can help us solve. I keep overflow Kickstart which I always have to have because it's my life's blood.
Because
it's the thing coursing through my.
You can't run out.
No, you would hear about it loudly from wherever you were. Yeah. They would hear it in satellites up at the moon station or whatever.
Absolutely.
So I go out to the garage and I open a side by side. I think they call them a French door or something, a refrigerator. Okay. So one side's a freezer, one side's a refrigerator. Perfect. I open the refrigerator side and this can jumped out at me, attacked me, split open because it was frozen, landed all over my legs and then all over the floor of the garage. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And, it's aluminum and it split like in a spiral. It was very interesting. And then I laughed and laughed and laughed and got some more Mountain Dew and put it in the refrigerator in the kitchen. And then later on, I put my feet up on the ottoman and I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm bleeding.
Oh, jeez.
And it was Mountain Dew Kickstart dried to my legs and feet that appeared. It was funny. So I forgot about the mess and I didn't care because I was so trying to get to my Kickstart. Yeah. And then I went out to the garage. I'm like, oh my fuck. Literally the floor of the garage looks as if I have murdered a few people.
Well,
and let them drain out.
I think no one would question it. Like,
people would know immediately
after 400 episodes of this. Like, where?
Why would anyone?
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, there were signs.
There were definitely.
Yeah,
signs.
There were signs.
She kept to herself mostly.
Yeah, she was a loner. And she has blood spatter all over the floor of her garage. It's pretty beautiful. Yeah. I'm going to say it makes a beautiful spatter.
Well, I definitely want to see it.
Now I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Also, then there's piece of furniture you have to help me move. Thank you.
Oh, right. No, you mentioned that like a week ago.
I'm going to lure you out to my garage. Yeah. Hey, Joshua, you want to see my garage? Help me lift this heavy thing.
Here, stand in this circle of that looks like blood. But just right there. No, to the left a little bit. Just stand right there.
Don't breathe. Close your eyes.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Everything's fine. I'm just taking some pictures. Yeah. So I have to say a special thank you to Joshua because you have been so good to me because I am a very overly independent person who likes to take care of shit myself. And some of it I can't. And you are like right there. And I'm like, can you help me lift my dining room table? And then you do. And then we put the rug down. And then, thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
I appreciate you being my brawn.
Can I say good job asking for help? Because I know how difficult it is to ask for help.
Thank you.
And
it is.
Really way to go. I'm proud of you.
I hate it. And it's not like Mark was around all the time. He worked a lot and he was gone a lot. I was alone a lot. But, there's a difference between knowing no one's going to be coming home from work to help you lift heavy shit and, knowing you're going to have to do that yourself and then knowing you have a friend who'll help you. So thank you.
Of course. You're welcome.
You're the best. And I also have to say I had so much fun with you at the movie on Saturday because I'm a little bit of a picky bitch and I don't always like how people behave in the theater, but you were perfect.
Okay.
We were laughing, but not annoying anyone else. We were laughing at the same things. I think we were, sort of like mystified or shocked at the same things.
Right.
It was fun. It was really fun. We saw 3,000 Years of Longing and I'm still processing it. At first I thought it was great. And then I was like, I'm not sure it's great, but it's good.
I'm glad you're, I was afraid that you were about to bring it up and start talking about it.
No,
and then I'm like, I don't think I'm there yet. I'm not ready.
No, me too. Yeah, we're both. And it was funny. The same, I think some of the same scenes for better or worse affected us. I'm still gonna hold on to Thick Girl Lair. I'm still laughing really hard at that. That was perfect.
Oh boy.
Speaking of layers, how's your junk?
That was a beautiful.
Is that a great transition? I'm seamless. Transition. So today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Manscaped.
Oh boy, Manscaped sent me through you a bag.
I love being the conduit?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they sent their whole kit, which is amazing. It's got all kinds of stuff, and including a bag.
It's the actual bag, Tip-Sters. It's beautiful. It's black with like brown aviator suede on the corners, and yeah.
So So they sent their Manscaped performance package, the ultimate in men's hygiene bundle. And have you
had a chance to use it?
I got a chance to use it. Well,
so just
I got a chance to use some of it.
Okay. So let me interrupt you and say that Joshua and I both wore our Manscaped t-shirts to the movies. And there was nothing better for me than to stand in line in a crowded theater, which it was $3 movie day. Yeah, and there were a bunch of people behind us, and I'm quite sure nobody thought there was something wrong with me as I'm wearing a t-shirt with big white letters that says Manscaped, your balls will thank you. But we looked cute.
Gosh. So much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. No, I mean, this is great. They sent a bunch of oils. They sent it comes with a balls deodorant. This is the toner, the ball toner, the crop reviser. All of the accessories and everything that go along with. And I know your favorite
part is.
Well, so here's the trimmer, and when the coolest part. This is so far the coolest part that I've seen. The trimmer actually, when you turn it on, has a flashlight right on it. Like it's this.
That's
bright
the Lawnmower
light.
4.0, right?
The Lawnmower 4.0.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is amazing because yes, I keep myself. I trim the hedges.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person who keeps my house clean even when I'm not going to have visitors.
Guests.
Yes.
Okay, good. I love that.
So
me too, by the way.
Yeah.
Hardwood floors all the way.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So yeah, no, this is great. I have in the past I've used like an old beard trimmer, and no one wants your stuff to smell like beard because that's weird.
That's crazy.
So yeah, no, this is a cool
like Old Spice or whatever that stuff. You don't want to smell like aftershave. You don't want your area to smell like aftershave.
Yeah, it brings up way too many questions when the visitors do come by. So thank you, Manscaped, for sending this all over. And
I'm thrilled to death. And even though Joshua offered to let me see the results, I'm all right.
I'm still
I'm okay with just your verbal.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
You want me to send you pictures, or
it's okay? You took pictures, I know. But I didn't really. I was afraid I don't want to be sexually harassed on my own podcast. So anyway. It's perfect. I love it.
I was unzipping the bag and I thought that was going to be a good sound effect.
It is good. It is good. Yeah. I do have to say the t-shirts are soft as butter.
Oh yeah.
Have you had a chance to put on your boxer briefs?
I have not yet.
Okay, I can't wait. That'll be next week.
I had to wash those first. I don't.
Oh, I got you.
A t-shirt I can wear right out of the bag. But the boxers.
You don't want your nuts to smell like plastic.
Right.
So all right. Yeah. Thank you, Manscaped.
Thank you, Manscaped. Any listeners who would like to buy this really cool kit for themselves or for a friend or a loved one, we actually have a 20% off code, and it comes with 20% off and free worldwide shipping if you use the code JustTheTip at manscaped.com.
Is there a better podcast for Manscaped than one where the code is just the tip?
Just the tip.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to shave your tip. We're talking about tips on crimes here, people. You don't have to shave that part. But anyway, yeah, I think it's the perfect code.
It's perfect.
It's perfect code. And I'm looking forward to hearing how the boxers are and some of the little accoutrements that came with it. I'm actually looking forward to this.
Yeah, for sure.
And thanks for cleaning the guard on my dining room rug. Thanks for shaking out I appreciate that.
All the little extras.
Little bit of Joshua here in my dining room. That's
it's fine. It's fine.
I am not pretending that there's something on my tongue. I'm not doing that. I don't care what you say. I'm not pretending. You have your cougars, mister.
Boy.
You don't need more. All right. So this one is from Debbie, and it's a little Tipster Debbie, and it's a little weird because I did not know this. And I saw the movie. I'm not sure you have. You've seen almost every movie ever made, I'm pretty sure.
I'm nowhere near that claim, but okay.
You are a younger gentleman, so this may have been before your time. It's 1994, and the movie is Heavenly Creatures.
Heavenly Creatures? No, I don't know that movie.
Okay. You might enjoy it, and I'm going to be reading, because I think it would appeal to your aesthetic. You seem to like the beauty of, certain things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially cinematic things. So I, at the time, hearkened back to 1994 when Melissa Morgan was working at an independent film company, Lumiere Films, that produced Leaving Las Vegas and Fresh and Touch and a couple of, well-respected independent films. And I was trying to immerse myself in the world of indie film. So I went to see it. And even back then, it bothered the fuck out of me.
Oh no.
Really bothered the fuck out of me. I felt like it was ambiguous, and it felt to me that someone who did something very awful did not get the punishment that they deserved. And then one of the participants becomes a very famous crime and fiction writer after changing her name. And then Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame makes Heavenly Creatures, and it's based on the case of this famous author that no one knows it's her because she changed her name.
Whoa.
Yeah. So here we go.
Okay.
1994, the movie comes out, and it's out for a few weeks, I think, before there's a connection made.
Wow.
I know. So Anne Perry, who is she's like 83 now. She lives in Los Angeles, but she just moved here like in 2017. And she's very well known for this, mystery. She's a mystery author. She has I don't know how many novels, with like 43.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with, two different main characters who are her most famous ones, William Monk and Thomas Pitt. Like, she has 10 books or something of each one. And they're, sort of like the like an Agatha Christie kind of thing, know, which is so interesting to me because she is a murderess. Wow. Yeah, not in a Delia Owens might have been a witness kind of way. She did it.
Full on did it.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, sir. So she was born Juliet Hulme in 1938, and she is, I think, born into a pretty upscale family. Her father is a physicist, and I think that may be one of the reasons that I don't want to say that she got off easy. It was because she was a juvenile, but so she was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and she meets in New Zealand, which is where Peter Jackson made sure Heavenly Creatures took place. Okay. Changed the names a little bit. But so she attends this Christchurch Girls High School in New Zealand, and she meets Pauline Parker. So Juliet, Anne Perry, meets Pauline Parker, and they're 15 and 16, and they become somewhat obsessed with each other. Of course, it is hinted that they're a lesbian couple, but they both say that wasn't the thing. I remember being 15 and 16 and being obsessed with my friends. Like, you want to spend all your time with them, and maybe your parents are distracted. One of their parents was cheating on the spouse, and, there were issues at home. No matter how much money you come from, there were issues, and they just cling to each other. Mm-hmm. So it's Melanie Linsky, and it's the first role ever of Kate Winslet.
Oh.
And I do remember sitting in the theater and being horrified by the actions of these two girls, but being mesmerized by the beauty of a young Kate Winslet.
Oh, sure.
Just I guess she would be kind of the definition of an English rose. I mean, she's just beautiful. And Melanie Linsky is such a versatile actress. I mean, she's like fantastic. So these two girls do a great job. But to me, it was trying to make two characters more lovable than they could ever be, because they were just too kind of adding the fact that Pauline had like osteomyelitis and Juliet had tuberculosis didn't make things any better for me. So they sort of bonded over this illness together. It's like all of the best people have chest and bone injuries. That was like one of the lines in the movie. I know. It's like all the best people have, this illness. But so when Juliet was diagnosed with tuberculosis, she was in a TB center, and they thought that Juliet and Pauline might cool their jets, if they didn't see each other. But they began to write these very long, long, long letters to each other, which is a lost art, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
I miss that. So they had sort of created this like fantasy world for themselves. They were madly in love with Mario Lanza, the, like opera singer at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. The only reason I know anything about that is my mom, I guess he was in a, I don't know, play or movie called The Student Prince. And my mom had the album, and she bought me, when I was like 12, bought me a really cool stereo that I would play, all my cool shit. And then I'd come home from school and the Student Prince would be on. And I'd be like, God damn it. Drink, like all these like weird German, it's just crazy. Anyway, so they were in love with Mario Lanza, and they would go to movies together, and, they just were obsessed the way teenage girls are.
Sure. Absolutely.
At that age. So their parents become a little worried about their obsession with each other. And they were really hoping that when Juliet was in the TB sanitarium that they would kind of separate from each other. And they really didn't. It just, it made them almost like closer together, because they even created a bigger fantasy world. The movie has one of the actresses read part of a diary that was real.
Oh, the real diary. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Cool. And shows them going to see like Mario Lanza in films, and they were really obsessed with Orson Welles, and they, loved film and like a fantasy world, and they wanted to be together. So when their parents were like, they take them to like therapists, and that's like, there's a underlying homosexual relationship. And, back then, of course, in the 50s, it's like, in New Zealand, which by the way, in New Zealand, homosexual acts were against the law until 1986.
Oh, wow.
I have always thought of New Zealand as like a very open country. Like a lot of American expats want to go there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
live there. It's the people are kind, the government is open, and I was like, how do you? 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, but they both swear that they weren't lesbians. They were just really good friends. So the parents are trying to keep them apart, and they're going to. Juliet's parents are going to move. Her very accomplished father, who was a physicist, was going to move. And they decide that it's Pauline's mother who is keeping them apart. And they come up with this plan, and it is a terrible one.
No.
And they're going to kill Pauline's mother.
Oh, no.
So they decide to pretend that they are relenting to the plan of being separated. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, we understand we can't be together all the time. We're going to be apart. Before Juliet leaves to go with her family someplace far away, we're going to take a walk with Pauline's mom. And this is just the dumbest plan on earth. I'm just going to tell you, it just is terrible. Uh-huh. She carries with her, I know, it takes 2 seconds before they're found out. In my mind, they just really didn't get what they deserved. But so Pauline has a beautiful pink stone, and she drops it on the walk, and it's, glistening. And of course, her mother bends over to pick it up, and they beat her to death with a brick.
Wow. That was the plan.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
A brick in like a pillowcase or a sock or something. They thought it would take 1 or 2 tries. It took 38.
38 hits.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And these are 15 and 16-year-old girls who are obviously not accomplished criminals. And they, fake horror and surprise and run out of the woods to the police and say she fell.
No.
Yep.
38 times.
38 times. She just kept getting up and falling back down on a brick in her head.
Oh, no.
So it doesn't take long before they're, arrested.
Of
because of their ages. They serve 5 years.
Oh,
each.
Wow.
5 years.
5 years.
Yep. 5 years each for killing Pauline's mother.
Wow.
Yeah. And from most reports, it was Juliet who did most of the striking. Juliet, who is now Anne Perry.
Who's now
a successful...
prolific writer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It is said that after 5 years and they are both released, they don't see each other or speak again, ever again.
Okay, that was it.
Yep.
So they weren't incarcerated together. Was it like a juvenile incarceration or a
Yes.
full? Okay,
because they were juveniles.
Because they were so okay.
They do 5 years. Yep. And then they're released. And then I believe Pauline moves to London, and I don't remember where Anne moves, but I know she moves a couple of different places, and one of them ends up being Los Angeles.
Okay.
There's a documentary that I haven't seen called Anne Perry Interiors, and that was from 2009. And it is supposed to have given like a snapshot of the people that are close in her life. So, in 2017, I guess she'd moved to Scotland. And in 2017, she moves to Los Angeles because she wants to promote, films based on her books.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read 2 different reviews of Heavenly Creatures because I will tell you, I told Tipster Debbie I wasn't sure I was going to cover this case because that movie affected me so deeply.
Right.
Because whether I know it or not, it may have been other than Helter Skelter, which affected me when I was like 12 when I read it. This movie may have been one of the things that, set me on a path of, really loving true crime because I was so angry that they didn't do more time.
Wow.
I was really angry at that movie. I got angry. I do believe the cinematography is beautiful. The locations in the forests of New Zealand, it was shot in New Zealand, Peter Jackson style. It's beautiful. I'm angry at the story. I'm angry at the narcissism of 2 young teenage girls who are not stupid or impaired or, challenged in any way. They are brilliant women. And to make it, this is premeditated out its ass. This is not, I got mad at my mom and pushed her down and she hit her head on the fireplace.
Right.
Premeditated homicide.
Yeah.
I was so angry. This movie affected me a lot. Yeah. It made me think maybe I shouldn't work in the entertainment industry because if this is the kind of films we make, I'm trying so hard and I have been trying my whole life to not be judgmental, but this one fucked with my head.
Sure.
So here is a review that I think is interesting. The only film by Peter Jackson that I think has any real value is Heavenly Creatures. This means he has not made anything worth watching since 1994. Wow. Yeah, this is way after. This was like 2019, this review. Okay. And we can also give him credit for discovering the great English actress Kate Winslet, whose performance electrified Heavenly Creatures, a psychological thriller that's based on a true crime that concerns 2 teenage girls who in the early 1950s become obsessed with each other. I will say I agree because honestly, I remember watching Kate Winslet thinking that is one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. That I do remember that.
Sure.
The first time you see someone that's so interesting, and she was a fucking great actress. I will tell you, and as great of an actress as Melanie Lynskey is, and she is, I remember watching it thinking the blonde one, this is something she's experienced, and the brunette one is a great actress. I believed Kate Winslet.
Wow.
I knew the brunette one was a great actress. I believed Kate Winslet had gone through something like this, which of course is just the mark of great acting, right?
That's next level acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the review goes on to say the character's increasingly obsessive bond eventually paving the way for a brutal murder. It's somewhat disappointing to note that despite an air of impressive authenticity and a raft of stellar performances, Heavenly Creatures remains unable to wholeheartedly or even partially capture the viewer's interest for the duration of its overlong running time. I do remember it being long, but I thought that's a lot of independent films.
Sure.
We're kind of overwrought.
Yeah, because you don't have a whole bunch of studio heads coming in
telling
saying
you to cut it. Exactly.
Sure, absolutely.
There's a pervasive lack of momentum here that grows more and more problematic as time slowly progresses, as filmmaker Peter Jackson's predilection for flashy visuals over character development proves disastrous, with a continuing emphasis on over-the-top dream imaginary sequences resulting in a lack of tangible, down-to-earth elements. It doesn't help either that the director spends far too much time on Pauline and Juliet's lighthearted frolicking. And, I might agree with the reviewer because it was difficult for me to separate 2 young teenage girls who become obsessed with each other and have a lot of things in common, similar interests, who then murder one of their mothers. I agree with this reviewer on that. And although the movie closes with an admittedly tense stretch, Heavenly Creatures has long since established itself as a profoundly misguided endeavor that squanders a seemingly foolproof premise, with Jackson's relentlessly flashy approach striking all the wrong notes virtually from the get-go.
Okay, well, right up until that moment, I was like, "Yeah, was it streaming somewhere? Can I watch it?"
Yeah, you will probably watch it. And I do think it's worth it now that you know that Kate Winslet's character grows up to be a writer.
Yeah, that's wow.
So during their trial, the two girls were tried together. They explained how I always wondered, like, where did the title come from? Because I kept thinking, is it called Heavenly Creatures because they're not of heaven? But they considered themselves heavenly creatures. They created this fantasy world called like the fourth world.
Got it.
That's why they would go to movies and just become completely immersed. And they created this world, where they were exempt from the normal rules of law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they were both convicted of murder in August of 1954. And, because they were under the age of 18, they only spent 5 years. And when they're released, Pauline goes back to England. That's what I thought. And she lives in a small village in Kent. And she taught horseback riding and other things to children.
Oh, okay.
She changed her name. So Juliet had really disappeared. And then as Juliet Hulme. And then Heavenly Creatures is released in 1994. And Juliet was there the entire time as English crime novelist Anne Perry, as she is now known. She takes her stepfather's surname. Her first novel is The Cater Street Hangman. It comes out in 1979, and it becomes very popular. And she goes on to be this prolific international best-selling author. She has over 60 novels, young adult books, writing manuals, and more than 20 million copies of her books are in circulation today.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow.
So she still writes.
And all of that time, between 79 when she started publishing all the way up until 94, nobody knows that it's her.
Right. And she moves to Scotland, which I'm going to guess is where her mother, maybe, and stepfather are. And I don't think I don't think she's ever without money.
Okay.
I think she, comes from this family that, funds her, and then she becomes a true crime author, which is pretty interesting.
Wow.
So in their youth, before they both changed their names, both girls, said they have regret and they express remorse about the murder of Pauline's mother, and they want to move forward in their life.
Sure.
So Anne Perry, when she is interviewed, when it finally comes out that she is Juliet, she says, our relationship was obsessive and unhealthy, but there was never anything sexual or romantic about it.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I feel like that's a common thing with teenage girls. I think that's
or teenage boys. Like, you can't have a really close friend unless, look, I don't want to drag us into it, but everybody thinks we're fucking.
Sure.
I mean, because you tell them all that we are.
Well, I tell them I spray painted it on the overpass.
405?
Yeah.
45101?
Yeah, exactly.
I get angry because I post a picture of the two of us together, and because I think we're so fucking cute, and I'm just so grateful to you, and then everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so happy you have a hot young stud boyfriend," and I'm like,
"Boy toy."
Yeah. Who's closely shorn.
Sure. Yeah, and I think I don't know. I think that's part of our society that, like, listen, we're allowed to have close friends. Like, you're allowed to,
right?
If you're, especially when you're young and you're working it out, like figuring out who you are,
right?
Like
that support system is invaluable.
Absolutely,
not enough to where you want to kill a parent.
That's
because,
a little over.
Yeah, a little. You're so open. It's a little over the line. All right, so I kind of want to know what you think. I'm angry that she has had success.
Yeah, and I hear that. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is what I think.
Okay.
but let me say a perspective. I'm not sure if I'm owning it as my perspective yet, but one's perspective,
yes,
could be the justice system in New Zealand works to reform and re-educate. So after that 5 years, they really did get remorse. They really did, work themselves out. So they're now successful contributing members of society.
Okay. That's one view.
I'm not sure if I believe that, but
I appreciate you putting it out there. I had not thought about it from that perspective. So thank you.
That's the goal, right? I mean, that's the whole thing about, you don't, incarceration to incarcerate is not helpful to society.
Exactly. You're exactly right. I believe you.
So, okay, maybe.
Right.
I mean, they haven't, as far as we know, neither have murdered more people since.
Right. Yeah. Sure. I mean, teaching writing lessons to kids in Kent, England, she could be totally, a wonderful teacher. Being a successful true crime author, are you a really good author because you come up with ways for people to kill people that are ingenious, or?
Sure. But then don't act them out. Just write them down.
Right. Oh, okay. So you think it's when she got access to like pen and paper? Or
I can channel that energy into
a typewriter.
Yeah.
She got a IBM Selectric, and then shit just got better
instead of bricks.
Right. I'll murder people with my words.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe.
Sure. Okay.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm still angry.
Sure. And I think justly so. I mean, it's 5 years.
I know.
But
what you're saying is exactly right. It's one of the things John Grobman taught me when we adopted Siren. I'm more angry at our justice system at this point in my life than I've ever been. I used to be like, you know what? We live in the best country and we have the best justice system. People don't get beheaded or,
sure,
firing squad. It's more humane and just. What bothers me is that and I had this discussion with Angelique and she had a different view. I feel like there should be across the board limits or boundaries or for how much time you should serve, because the 3 strikes law, which I thought was a wonderful tool for California, turned out to be a nightmare. John Grobman had a drug addiction and had 3 felonies, none of them involving a weapon or none of them were dangerous. It involved stealing money or, kiting checks and he got 6 life sentences plus 40 years.
Oh, no.
And he served 14 years and was, he was not exonerated, but his sentence was shortened by then Governor Jerry Brown. Daniel Sarazan murdered his uncle, Will Sarazan, in January 2017, and he got 14 years for voluntary manslaughter, and he will serve 8.
Wow.
So sentence reform needs to happen. And you make a great point that at ages 15 and 16, I guess we know their whole amygdala isn't formed yet or whatever, their medulla oblongata. They say it's not formed until you're 25?
Yes.
I tend to think that's mostly men because boys, mature.
I still haven't formed
yours
mine.
Is not. I can see the sutures in your skull kind of coming together slowly.
Right.
But 15 and 16, I feel like you're old enough to know right from wrong. I don't know that it mattered to them.
Yeah. I mean,
they're brilliant young girls and they did something that was not like I pushed my mom down.
Right.
And she fell and hit her head and never woke up. 38 times you bash your mother's head in.
No. And that's absolutely not okay.
No,
that there's no question, and I feel that anger.
Yeah,
and at the same, I'm still kind of questioning. Like, wait, they were in their own little fantasy world that they created that justified that action to themselves.
They were heavenly creatures.
So, is that creating a fantasy world? Okay, instead, I'm going to change my name and create fantasy worlds in 60 plus novels and all of
young
that.
adult novels, and
that's way more. That's way better for the rest of the world. That's a contribution to society.
Right, but she's out and free doing it. She's not doing it in a cell.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. They both expressed remorse and regret, and then, said, we just like to move on. All right. Well, Mrs. Parker can't move on because her head's crushed.
No. Right.
I guess I can. I told Tipster Debbie. Now I'm mad at her. I was like, I don't want. She was like, this is fascinating. I'm like, well, first of all, Joshua and I discussed Delia Owens. I don't know if it's time again to do an author, but the story is so interesting, and I had such a visceral reaction to the film when I saw it in 1994 in West LA at a art house theater with red velvet seats, and I was just the whole time I was like, ooh. I mean, it really did affect me. Yeah. It did affect me. And I think I'm still going to be angry. But I think what you're saying is a great point.
It is an idea. It is a thing. I don't think I'm actually there yet because I'm with you on the anger.
You posed it. You don't have to have to believe it. But the fact that you are clear-headed enough to come up with another option, I'm grateful for that, because I'm just like, I never would have thought perhaps whatever was happening in the prison system in New Zealand in the 50s made such a difference that, you don't buy your own theory. I don't buy it. No, well, let's just say we think neither of them have killed again.
Sure.
Anne Perry has killed on paper many times, but then she invents characters who solve those crimes. It would be like finding out, Edgar Allan Poe buried people under. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or it would just be upsetting and shocking. And I loved Edgar Allan Poe. So by the way, she had won an Edgar Award for one of her, I forgot that, one of her novels. Wow. That's pretty high praise. Yeah. So she must be a good writer. I mean, I've seen the name Anne Perry, a million times. And you see it in, bookstores and all the time. I had no idea. No clue.
Okay. Now I'm going to take notice. I mean, because that feels like maybe summer reading kind of.
Yes, I think so
novels,
too.
Which
but multiple
aren't the ones I usually pick up, but now I will.
Right. Now but I mean, the William Monk and what was his other character's name?
Pitt.
Yes.
Thomas Pitt.
Thank you. So both those each have 10 or more each in a series. So those are characters that are obviously beloved.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of me wants to be like, good for you.
Yeah.
I know.
Way to go. I know. Part of me wants to be like,
that's awesome.
You did something terrible when you were young, not that young, but okay, young. And then you've reformed yourself and you've done something, positive in the world. Millions of people have read your words. I'm still mad at her. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
She's an 83-year-old woman. I'm still mad at her.
Be mad.
So you know what? And don't have a book signing. So I'll show up and accidentally kick your chair over.
With a brick.
Stop it. Now people are going to think the Mountain Dew in my garage is and Perry's blood.
Right. Yeah. I'll show up to the book signing with a brick and actually have her sign it.
Because you are a good person who doesn't hit elderly women with bricks.
Will you sign my brick? But will
it's in a sock.
Will you sign it as Juliet Holloway?
Yeah.
Also?
Yeah, exactly. Both names?
Both names.
How many ever names you have, bitch? Yeah. All right. I'm done. I'm a terrible person. Thank you, Tip. No, you're a good person. You come up with great alternatives. Thank you, Tipster Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Think, Joshua can say thank you because you're part of his Cougar Nation. I think, because I'm going to be thinking about this damn thing forever. But if you have a tip on a missing person or unsolved homicide, you just want to suggest a case, give us a call at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. Or email us at jttipsters@gmail.com or any of our social media platforms. Just the Tipsters Facebook page, JT Tipsters on Instagram, JT Tipsters Pod on Twitter, and more cowbell.
If you would like to support this podcast and get early access and other cool murderous swag, go to patreon.com/justthetipsters.